Okay, so the words annoy and offend are now gone. Why and what's this? What is this new version? How does it differ compared to the old version?
Well, let's talk about annoy and offend. Annoy and offend had been in state statute for, I don't have the exact years on it, 15 to 20 years. It had been in state statute. And when we tried to change the law that was just specifically related to telephone activity, one-on-one communications, and we changed from telephone to any electronic device, that was too broad. Okay, and so now it could have been construed, and rightly so, that possibly blog postings could have been under the jurisdiction of how the law was reworded, and annoy and offend became an issue. So we eliminated the language annoy and offend, but more importantly, we added in the language specific person or persons, and it had to be one-on-one communications, direct communications with people, as you had back in the time when it was just telephone-type dialogue back and back. So once again, it eliminates the dialogue of, or it eliminates like a blog posting. If someone wants to write something kind of ugly on a blog posting or say something goofy on a radio station or whatever it might be, that freedom of speech is not inhibited or is not affected by this law. It's one-on-one direct communications on a wire line, a cable, a wireless or cellular telephone, a text message, or an instant message, or electronic mail. But once again, it has to be sent and received specifically within containment of People's Party one-on-one communications.
So if somebody texts me, now just to make sure, if somebody texts me or emails me or something like that, electronic communication, you're an idiot, I think you're ugly. If I'm offended and annoyed by that, nothing can happen to that person, right?
Well, it has to be repetitive.
Okay.
It has to, there has to be harassment that's ongoing and continuous.
And now, what if it's happened in the past? Is anything grandfathered in, or this is only going to happen once the governor signs it?
I believe it's going to be, just for ongoing or future type activities.
Okay. Now, what if I don't know if Twitter's monitored, so I guess it's 1-to-1. So I'm just curious, because with this whole George Zimmerman situation, people get out of control. They get out of control on Twitter like crazy because they think they can't be identified. They think they're anonymous. When Zimmerman, when that whole thing went down, even last week when they let him go out on bail and let him leave on bail, people were saying, let's go kill him. Now, if something like that were to happen in the state of Arizona, let's say something happened with SB 1070 or whatever, and people said, let's go kill the judge, let's go do this, could they come under some kind of penalty of law?
No, I don't believe so. There might be another type of law that has to do with making threats and so forth, but not on this law. This law is to protect people from stalking or from one-on-one type telephone or electronic communication devices. But once again, specific communications. And what we're trying to do is broaden the language from a technology standpoint when it was just telephones. Back in the day when you'd have like prank calls. People, do you have Prince Albert in a can? Well, you better let him out. Kind of prank, and they move on from there. That kind of prank phone calling up to, let's say, modernize it to using text type messages, cell phones, emails, and so forth. But once again, it has to be specific one-on-one type messaging. So someone making some kind of irrational comment, which people do through their Twitter account or post on Facebook that, we kill all the SOBs, we don't like them, or whatever it might be, that's not affected under this law. This law is to update a statute that has to do with stalking, and it has to do with telephone harassment that has been in place for years, and there are legitimate victims of both of those crimes. And it was just to try to update it in that type of law to current technologies.
Now, look, and we have State Rep Vic Williams on KNST AM 790 and now 97.1 FM. Again, I had you on. I had State Rep Ted Vogt on, and I had questions. And look, I want to applaud you guys because you guys were sticking to your guns and saying, no, this is just like what it was and blah, blah, blah. And then I think you got enough feedback. I mean, did you get a lot of people calling your office, emailing you, that kind of stuff after this hit the news?
Oh, absolutely, and a lot is an understatement. National, hell, it went international. They were writing about this in Russia and China. So, but I'll tell you what. Listen, Garrett, I appreciate what you guys do because this is how the democratic system
exactly
works. Okay, and there are so many different choke points on developing laws. If there is an issue, it's great when you get this kind of feedback from the community. We reached out statewide to the Attorney General office, the Solicitor General's office, several county attorneys. Nationally, we sought the advice of the Media Coalition, which brought up and say they were the ones who were instigating the problem with the bill. We spoke with David Horowitz out of New York. We dealt with Jim Weinstein from the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law here at ASU. I heard from a lot of local groups, and we took it to heart and trying to strike that balance of public safety, protecting people from crime, updating the technology, or updating the statute to current technologies, but trying to find the balance where we're not inhibiting appropriate free speech, and I think we found that, and it took some work, but that's the job of being a legislator. There are times you find yourself under the microscope. You find yourself at times where it's very intense and things like this are going on, and just you got to kind of work through it, and you find yourself carrying the ball, and sometimes you're under a lot of scrutiny, but just try to hunker down and find the right thing to do and listen.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I want to praise you for that, and everybody at the legislature that went with you on it, because that's all we wanted to do, and this worked the exact way it's supposed to work. We found something that we had a problem with. We let you know. You went back and said, let's look at it, and I think that this is the exactly appropriate wording of what's needed, especially in 2012. So I want to thank you for that. That's why I wanted to have you on, because we grilled you. You wrote that thing about the tinfoil hats. We had fun with that. But you know what? You went back and changed it, I believe, into the right way, and that's how it's supposed to be.
And listen, I was not trying to target you on the tinfoil hats. If you get on the blogospheric world and pull up HB 2549 and look at the different blog postings, there was some incredibly nasty and crazy things that were being said. And some of the truthers were kind of getting involved with this, and the conspiracy of government, and the black helicopter type folks, and it was directed at those people. Some people really got unhinged on that. And but that's what it is, and that's water in the fridge. And one thing I've learned in the 4 years that I've had the privilege to serve is that if you got to have a thick skin for this line of work.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But as well, you got to push back a little bit, too.
I mean, and do you feel like, look, it's gotten kind of extreme on both sides in the aspect of liberals never want to see anything that a conservative does, but conservatives also, if there is a Republican that votes for one thing one way and they disagree with, they want to throw that person to the wolves.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing, and let me kind of just change the direction of your comment a little bit. What I think was great about this whole process? We were just viciously attacked from the far left and the far right. And in some ways, that was great, because how to put it, in many ways, it wasn't partisan. And ultimately what happened here was a real working of a democratic republic, and we found that common voice in the middle. We found reasonable people like yourself, a lot of your listeners who I communicated with, a lot of reasonable groups around the country that understood that there needs to be protection for those who are victims of crimes. And there is a substantial amount of people that are victimized by these types of crime. And so we reached out and we found that common centrist voice, people that kind of lean to the left, people that kind of lean to the right, and found that middle ground of rationale and crafted what we believe is a good law. It might need to be updated in 5 years if the technologies change and so forth. And one other point, Garrett, another thing that we're going to need to look at, as we move into the information age, the technology age, all sorts of different statutes and laws, privacy laws, communication laws, how we transfer title on properties, finances, are going to change because of technologies. And it's going to be up to the legislative bodies here in Arizona and around the country to take these on as they change and find the different standards that are going to be acceptable as we move forward. And it's something that we're going to have to address. And are we always going to hit the nail on the head perfectly every time? No. But we got to keep forging forward.
And was this a bipartisan issue? How was the vote? Were there a bunch of Democrats agreeing with Republicans, or Republicans backing off, or what?
No. There were 4 or 5 Republicans that backed off the bill at the end. Well, there was one initially, 3 or 4. I think it went out like 55 votes to 5 this time. And so it was bipartisan. It was bipartisan the first time. And this is the things I really enjoy working on at the legislature is when, look, I'm a Republican, fiscal conservative, pro-business, pro-SB 1070, let's, reduce spending to balance the state budget kind of Republican. But as well, it's great when we can find common ground, because sometimes when it gets so vitriolic and it gets so partisan, and I've kind of noticed the bills that genuinely get 100% partisan usually are the least effective bills. And that's a generalized statement. But when they become partisan in nature, for most part, usually there's more politics than policy being derived. And so it's great when we can get bipartisan legislation like this that works for the common good of the people of Arizona.